So, this experience that I'm going to talk about, the fact that I'm putting it up online, is harder for me because it's hard for me to talk about with people. Um, but I do want other people to know, just because if they've been through something similar, then I want to be able to help in any way I can. So in my first video, I referenced a person who had been a great friend for 6 years, and how when he found out that I was bi, decided to take off his... Okay, so story is, we were at a wedding, and or I'm sorry, it was the night before. We were sharing a hotel room, like, had planned this. It was like a one bed, which was fine. And, like, that was the night I had told him, which it had started out as, like, conversation about different things. Like, he was explaining Grindr, random things like that, which I had never even thought about really kind of dabbling in. And so I'm trying to go to sleep because I'm exhausted, long day, all this fun stuff. And he starts talking about, oh, we should get our other friend, I'm going to try not to use names, who is not gay, to, like, masturbate with us. And it's like, no. And I did not particularly want to masturbate with this friend at the time either. I'm just trying to sleep, have my face buried in a pillow, and kind of kept going, and he wound up taking his clothes off as I was sitting there trying to sleep in the bed, and kept trying to talk to me and started to try to get me to take off my clothes, and kept saying no. And he's like, well, we should masturbate together, jack off, I don't remember, whatever. It's like, just trying to sleep, no. And his response was, I can't believe you aren't even, like, checking to see if, like, I was actually naked. And it's like, I don't care. He kind of continued, and kept trying to get me to, and was like, well, I'm just going to feel awkward. It's like, I don't care. And so he got the lube that he was using and rubbed it on my arm, and just... Sorry. Okay, and rubbed it on my arm and was like, feel how soft it is, so come on, join, don't make me seem weird. And kind of kept going. When I kept saying no, he tried, like, rubbing my back. It was the night before the wedding, as I said, so I kind of felt like if I hit him in the face, that would... So if I made some huge deal out of this, then it would take away from my friend's wedding, which did not want to do. So I just kept my face buried, didn't look up, and he kept going for a while, kept going, and then he tried to tell me, well, you asked for this. And my response was, I don't remember that. No, I didn't. And he's like, well, that's okay, you're just sleepy. And kept trying to convince me that it was something that I wanted. That he was doing this because I asked for it, because I don't know. And eventually he stopped. I remember just which, again, if you watch my other video, then, you know, like, my faith is somewhat important to me, so just praying that I would get through it. And I eventually fell asleep. Next morning, when I woke up, I mean, it felt like a nightmare, to be honest. Like, I just felt betrayed to the point where I could not believe somebody who I had considered a dear friend for 6 years of my life would not take into consideration my own desires in that situation. I wound up calling my friend who's a social worker, and just talking about it. Like, she's a really dear friend of mine, and she helped me through it, which is awesome. But I understand to some degree, the mentality of the victims who begin to question themselves, blame themselves, because it felt like such a nightmare that nobody that I knew that had been such a dear friend for so long would ever do something like that, would ever just ignore my wishes in that type of situation. That it just seemed like it couldn't be real. And so I started to question, maybe I did ask for this. Maybe I should have known. Maybe our conversations before, he had just been waiting for me to, or he had just wanted something, and then when I said I was gay or something, that he just viewed that as, an open invitation, like that was my fault. I do want to say to anybody who has been in one of these situations, it is not your fault. No matter how much the person may try to make you feel in that way, no matter what they might say, it's not your fault. Sorry, but back to the story. So I went on a run, struggled with this, actually had a long conversation with my mom, which makes me sound like a little child, but that's okay, just because I needed to talk it out, and this really affected me much longer than I thought it would. I share a room with a roommate currently, and so I wound up driving home at like 2 or 3 in the morning after the wedding, because I was going to stay with the bridesmaids. Like, at my friend's bachelorette party, we had kind of talked about that possibility, but I just wasn't comfortable sleeping around anyone. So, because like I said, it affected me a lot more than I wanted to admit or even realized at first. So I share a room, crashed in my own bed, was exhausted, and wound up trying to take a nap during the day. And even just having my roommate come in, who would absolutely never do anything like that. He's happily engaged, which is fantastic. And I'm a light sleeper, and it woke me up, and it freaked the hell out of me. And because so I started losing sleep because of this. And because of that, I started to question my own masculinity, because it affected me so much. So I was questioning, did I invite this on myself? Or does this make me less of a man because it's actually affecting me? And I just want to say, for anybody who's been through a situation similar to this, and I know people have been through far, far worse, and I'm definitely not looking for a pity party. This is kind of to try to encourage those people. It's not your fault, like I was saying earlier. Some people will hear whatever they want to hear. They will twist around your words and then try to blame it on you when you try to defend yourself. So do not let them win. And then second of all, it's okay if it affects you. Male or female. Being betrayed by somebody, being hurt by somebody, is going to affect you. You can't let it control you, but it will affect you. And that was kind of where I got after I wound up taking off the next day from work, mainly because I wasn't sleeping, but also I just didn't feel like being around too many people. And I began to realize I don't want to give that person that power over me to have, although yes, it will always not be a happy moment, it will have some impact on how I act. Hopefully it'll have changed me for the better so that I can kind of, I don't know, but I don't know where I was going. Yeah. But we can't let those people control us. Yeah. That's the thing. Don't let them rule your lives. I believe in forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to go back to the way things were before that. Like, I have not spoken with this friend since. I don't believe he thinks he did anything wrong. And there may be people who don't think he did. That is your opinion. And yeah, so just, if you've been through it, find somebody to talk to, somebody that you can confide in that can help walk you through it so that you know you're not alone, and just know that it is not your fault. Don't let them dominate you that way. Don't let them convince you otherwise. You didn't ask for it, and then it's okay that it affects you. Just don't let it rule you, because honestly, if somebody's going to do that to you, they do not deserve to have that much of control over your life. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to be received or what. Yeah, I don't know. I'm done.